mai lau KVCK News.
O lo whanga solo nei a se singa le matanga luenga o soifua maloloina I tua ia onga whataitai I le whaatinoina leo suenga sa ili ai alo mo whanau o lo o iai I tutonu o le totole e le o ona po le led o se vai aso o fuafua le matanga luenga ina ia whaasolo ai la tau fuafuanga ia onga whataitai umo le atunu o le wha moe moe ina ia vave o na maua wha amatalanga o le nei elemeni o ona I tino ma whaiai loa tonga fitinga ina ia ave ese pe whaititi ai fo ile afianga I alom whanau laiti.
Lo o whatautai fo ile nei au nanga mai fo ile matu official Environmental Health Services Division le lalo le official le tanga luenga le o soifua maloloina o le nei fo au nanga whapenasa talaina alo ia ile aso ana nafi sa amata mai ai ile a onga le tafuna ICE o atua I silianga le nei la taiao sa momoana mato amata mai lupelele le la wo mato mai nei la I pawaiai o le wha moe fo nei fo I tomo whainga po nei au nanga I nei ia tomo whai ona sue fo I le toto o le alo po le atali le afine I nei ia loa ai po I le o ona lea so o le led e tele lava to I ngā whasamoa lo iei whaalongo foi me o le lete o ona o le pulu o ona ia ese lava whasamoa e wapapenana tu umai e tangata e whaaliliu ele upulea le led ia pe o lo matonga lue whaatasi pe amale ICE a pe o le whasamoa na sau mea fo I la toia o le lete o ona a ia o le lete ona la na a tonu le tino tamai titi e whaina whaaina e fo le mawhauwhau a po le mawhauwhau ina ia tutupua e fo ia wawe pe tau le mu e fucking slow ai le lato mawhauwhau ai wa avea fo nei suenga a tonu o le si awala le polisi le factor ala ina na afaina whanau I lato mawhauwhau ona ole ona le tonu lato tino ia pe ole pokalama la nei la wa mata ina ia sosoani le ia lum whanau se sue a faila la wa sue atu yele lete ona tonu le tino bototo nga lua lo le mato itu e o e faile suenga po femea o iai le lete a le ona le po o mea taalo, po o le vali o fale, po o le palapala, ia iai foi po le vai, po o paipa, po o ipu ia e whaonga e ai e whanau. So e so se mea lava e whaina mo wai le lete. E te tauna le, iai se lete. O le pokalama nei, o le to amata nei na amatalo ia nafi, a o le suenga la le whai nei mātou, a tui nei lo lima pe le tui le suka. Ia toto la le na, e tuulunga le masingi. Ia masingi la lea, e readinga suenga, e tolu lava minute. E whapenana whaatali e masuenga moa lolo le result I le asoa nei. O le teimi nei, o lo amata nei I ICE. O no si, au vaenga foi nei, po matopaanga nei. Whapena lo matonga lue whaatasi. Ia, o le peo le suenga foi leo le te sa amata mai ICE. Wa faisina leva o le nela lo wa pick up ele public health nela lo matonga wa masani fo ile vanga ICE ile conducting po le fainga navy suenga ya lela lo wa lead ngai public health ai malo le ICE matonga lue atu ile daycare o I malesi matopa anga o le wiki so tameti fo ile le o le wiki a fai e so e fo le o ye se result ile le ya na failola I o lato na pasino atu pe failo atu public health o le atali po le afine ni na umia lana tui e identify pe ele lete ona tonu tino ya o pa angala la matonga lue le ngata whana we mai refer mai le wiki ai mai sila whana fo e matu atu tuo day cares le testing e tauna mata mai leo temien whana mai le pepe a ono masina tau lava le ono tau sanga ai pe tayo teimi nei wa kick off le mato au onanga lea o lo amata nei whanau tolu whatau sanga ICE.
Sa whaalia foi le sunga ya Eileen so la ita le tūlanga o iai la la tau fuafuanga pe amai ale vaenga mua o suenga alo ma whanau laiti.
O teimi nei lai ele ava le recommendation o le CDC e whapenana follow ai foi le Department of Health. Pela teimi nei le lalo wa tweet le whanau nei le aso nei Ia e moa lole risau. Ia na fa soala pule lola ia mata ofisa. Manisi foi ofisa. E identify ia whanau ia ua le ona le tono o lato toto. Ina ia whai momola al matonga luenga. O matou le enforcement side e whai asisingo whale o a inga. E sue ai po amele ia ile o ona lea, le te ona lea. Ia whautua ma whailo matua me ia tauna abe ese mai. Ia foi le bali, a whai foi whale tonu le bali. A whai sue atu tono o whale o a inga le se mea. Ia o le siri o whemea o ngai. A whaila lo whemea o nga uma o loa latu la le wisa o lupelele le. O yu papa ia ile tele ia te meiti ia le ona ne. Ia e maila matu e test uma le bali manisi mea pe me ta alo foi. A tonu la af mo tu foi la le tele le ona le me. Ia o mo tino fola wo se si tu langa a wa tauna tapunia. Ai whailinga luenga ina ia pui ai whanau electoral mai whanau tonu ia onga. O le au nani atu lava ma le loto maolalo i matua uma ia onga isi i lela mato savalvali atu ai le aso tael. Leone siri anga whangalii o matawhao, whangopango, aua whangasa. Ia o le sparele lola ia o laulii whangaitua. Ia maau nuu e poinga le whamolmole. Ia mowale wanoa ia mai so walu. Ina ia paia nei suenga o whaia fua le se tongi o le au nanga foi o le public health ina ia sosoani foi ia loi foi se me au nga ia sosoani mo tato whanau i o tuputupu wae ma sefe ma sanga le mule siu manga moli atu ai whaftai i le malu le ofisa o le dio i le Head Start ona lango maina mar sapsapai ana le ai lato ele fatau nu foi mato susuenga tono isi i whaftai atu foi mato paanga le wiki lo sosoani o nisi foi na tone mai a me fo ai atu whanau a wafo ele nei aso por neva yaso ai me se foi mato paanga uma e tai foi le officer ko mana male au officer ona mato proclamation fa penana la watu ituai le aso anafi ya ai me se foi officer uma lo sosoani mai foi ele nei tama faina awa o le ngalwenga ele fai na fai tasi e public health e mana umia matua mana umia ia officer malo mana umia le tatu community ina ia sosoani ina ia tutua ai fo tatu whanau sanga le mu ma sefe mea lo olai.
O le vaiaso na mawai sa tatalai nalo ai le ofisa o le American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition i tonu o le alofa building i Tafuna. Ua amataina foi o na whaalawi loa lato o onanga ai mese o le iaile o le whaata maalosi. Mua lea i tonu le territory o le MRI po le Magnetic Resonance Imaging i tonu lato potu talavai. O se fuafuanga taua lea e fsota ima la lato misiona mo la lato polkala mai taua o le puipui malu manatu. E whaiaisu e suenga i ngase o le mafaufau o le Alzheimer po o le mafaufau ngalo. O le whaatinoina o nei suenga o le oa oina le whaatinonga e sui na malanga mai le malo tele. O le sunga a Dr. Jim Galvin, whaapea sui le polokalama o le soifua maloloina o le whai ai se itulou a le University Miami. Whaapea foi sui mai le University California, lona la San Francisco. E tatala le avanua ia i lato ua lunga atu le 5 tausanga o le soifua, e mo mia le whaata malosi mo suenga tau le mafofau. Ua silia ma le tolu vai aso talo on tapunia le federale, ma o lo tu maupea le langolangoina le partia le Democrats palota e toi tatala ina ile malo. O le nei tūlanga se ia wangana ua maua se i oenga mai Republicans se palota ina malangolangoina se pili e whatatau le Healthcare Act o lo o whaatuina e le Temokarati, mo nisi o lo i tutono le atunu. E awhia isi te seni o Amerika whatasima tangata anu o isi atu nu o lo iai wha le soli tu la fono te tono le malo tele. O le whawhita uli o lo o wha umi ai e le vaenga o le Republicana no lato o le langolango ino le nei pili tau wha ofi. O le aso sa whai ai se whaata singa le peresitene malana vaenga o pufai i le whare pae. Ina ia tau mawhai a pili i le atu nu lo lato o fina ngalo e pei ona le mawhai e ona langolango ina e le pati o lo o i le konkeresi. O lo o sila mamalo le atunu, ma o le popolenga ina nei wha awau pea le nei tūlanga i se teimi umi, mani a afianga e alia e mai ai. Inisi o tala o lo o tau mawhai se tase o territory o le United States, e toi suia lona tūlanga po o lona taunga i tutono le whainga malo o le malo tele, O le tau mawhainga a Guam ina ia ausia le avea mastete o le malo tele po o whaamanuianga e sili atu I lo le tūlanga o lo lato mawaina le teminei. O se mata upo lo tala noina nei ele ngate tutonu lava o Guam a o atu le nei mata upo tutonu o whata singa le whaapotopotonga o atu nu o le lalolangi po le United Nations.
O le nei fuafuanga ono o le manato nisi o lo o whaululu iai le atau mawhainga o avea Guam no fuanga au tu o le tele o mea tau I le military whapea foi no fuanga o le military o lo iai nei tutono le atu nuu. Pe tai e ui o se territorio Amerika whapea foi o se no fuanga ta ua tele le military I le mawhai o na pālota I le presidente ale malo tele pe mawhai foi o na pālota lo na sui au au whai ngā whiriwhilinga I tutono le konekeresi se ia vangana tutono komiti. E ui o lea wha moe moe o lo langolanguina I nisi pe o se vaenga o atunu o le UN, o nisi o sui tutono o le konekeresi, o nisi o na tangata anu. Pe tai o lo te ena I le United States, I le ngate tutono o no whai, tala nuanga wha avao malo mai si atunu. Ai whapea foi le to o telo tangata anu o Guam lavaia, o lo tau mawhai pia nisi wha ala patopatonga, e una ia lea mata upo. Nunu yaso lelei mai lau KVZK News.
O tātou tala mai Samoa, ua waaia le alu I lunga o le fuai numera o tangata ngase I whaamai tu mau le tino. Ona o le le mawhai o nga whaatia mea tau mawha pāleni. Ona o le maualunga o le tau o mea tau mawha I le neiva I tau I tutono Samoa. E au fia ai ma tau mawha felesi o lo o whaatau I maketi. O le nei reporti e mai le matanga luenga o whaatoanga, whaapea le vaenga le United Nations World Food Program. O lo taua le tūlanga o se whaafita auli, tau I tau mawhalelei mo le tino. I tutonu lava o le reporti o lo whailua ai le tau o le tau singa, I tau mawha o se ainga e to ono. E lima sifuru tala Samoa po le sifuru walu tala Amerika pe a whaatu peina. E sili atu ma le whaasifuru pasene le au whai o ainga Samoa. Ua lenga whaatia le tau sami maloloina, a wale tau singa o le soifua maloloina le lei. E whaafaina lo na taungata I le tau, e te tauna iai e peo tau mawha maasani o le aso. E valu sifuru pasene tina matamaitai Samoa, ua o I le tūlanga o le tino puta, e ono mawai ngase tu mau. Ma e sili atu ma le fitu sifuru pasene o e na maali liu, mai ngase tu mau le tino. E peo le toto mawalunga, o le suka manisi wha amai e le pepesi. O le fautuanga se tase o fō mai le sunga Dr. Seu Joseph Tauati, o le tau mawha pāleni, o le whaatau ngō fio tau mawha, ma le leo tau samia whanau ia onga, o nisi nao soani, e fō I ai le whawhitauli. Ma le aso o mai loa matalo le tau ma le tai mo Amerika Samoa. O te whainga nao tātou tala Amerika Samoa le nei tūlau le afiafi, whaaftai lo whaatasi mai, tō whaaseifua.
notice of bonds to be issued. Notice is hereby given pursuant to the provisions of the American Samoa Code annotated, Title 11, Chapter 19, as amended, that on October 15, 2025, the Board of Directors of the American Samoa Economic Development Authority adopted a resolution in which it authorized the issuance and sale of the issuer's General Revenue Refunding Bond Series 2025A in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $50 million to mature in not more than 11 years from their date or dates, to be sold at a price not less than 96% of the total principal amount thereof, and to bear interest at a maximum net effective rate or rates of not to exceed 7.5% per annum. General Revenue Bond Series 2025B in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $15 million to mature in not more than 21 years from their date or dates, to be sold at a price not less than 96% of the total principal amount thereof, and to bear interest at a maximum net effective rate or rates of not to exceed 7.5% per annum. And the Series 2025A bonds will be issued for the purpose of refunding the issuer outstanding general revenue and refunding bond Series 2015A, funding a deposit to a debt service reserve fund, if necessary, and paying the cost of issuance of the Series 2025 bonds. The Series 2025B bonds will be issued for the purpose of financing any portion of the completion of the Fono building, including fixtures, furniture, and equipment, construction of a new adult correctional facility, and financing a portion Azteca's investment in internet capacity and redundancy, funding a deposit to a debt service reserve fund if necessary, and paying the cost of issuance of the Series 2025 bonds. The Series 2025 bonds are to be issued and sold by the issuer pursuant to the resolution, including as part of said resolution, the general indenture of trust previously approved by the issuer and a supplemental indenture of trust, which were before the board and attached to the resolution in substantially final form at the time of adoption of the resolution. The Series 2025 bonds will be special limited obligations of the issuer, payable solely from and secured solely by a pledge of the revenues and certain funds and accounts established by the indenture, including but not limited to 100% of the pledged taxes. All net revenues from projects financed with bonds issued under the indenture, and all revenues from any other source of funds legally available to the issuer to pay debt service on bonds, as more fully described in the indenture. A copy of the resolution and the indenture are on file in the office of the issuer, located in the office of the Governor, Executive Office Building in Whangatongo, American Samoa, where they may be examined during regular business hours of the issuer from Monday through Friday for a period of at least 20 days from and after the date of publication of this notice. Notice is further given that a period of 20 days from and after the date of the publication of this notice is provided by law, during which any person in interest shall have the right to contest the legality of the resolution, the indenture, or the Series 2025 bonds, or any provision made for the security and payment of the Series 2025 bonds, by filing a verified complaint in the High Court of American Samoa, and that after such time no one shall have any cause of action to contest the regularity, formality, or legality thereof for any cause whatsoever.
Fono leaders reminded of the separation of powers. The Environmental Services Division of VOH performed lead poisoning screening and testings at schools. MRI at the American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition available for elder patients testings. Talo Falava and good evening, American Samoa. Welcome to this edition of your Kvzk TV News. Governor Pulali'i Nicolau Pula has reminded the Fono leaders of the separation of powers.
Governor Pulali'i Nicolau Pula has emphasized the importance of the separation of powers between the executive branch and the legislature. In a letter dated October 16, 2025, addressed to Senate President Tua'olo Manaya Fruen, Pula highlighted that managing personnel and executing laws are the executive branch's responsibilities, while the Fono's role is to enact laws and budget based on revenue projections. The governor commended Tua'olo for his dedication during the budget process. He noted that $25 million reduction in the fiscal year 2026 budget, which he described as a fiscally responsible measure that breaks the cycle of overspending. He pointed out the FY 2026 budget shows $519,000 in revenue exceeding spending, while the budget specifies that unbudgeted revenue requires Fono authorization for spending. He asserted this amount is already budgeted and lacks an explanation for its purpose. The governor expressed concern over proposed personnel budget changes by the Fono, suggesting such actions could overreach legislative authority and violate the separation of powers. He reminded that Article 2 grants legislative power to the Fono. In contrast, Article 4 grants executive power to the governor, stressing the need for both branches to respect their respective roles. Additionally, he addressed a claim from the Senate President regarding an erroneous figure of $7.8 million, clarifying that the actual $6.8 million variance arises from federal grants outside the Fono's legislative authority. The governor noted that fiscal year 2026 budget is now law, and he is confident that through their shared commitment to the territory, they will find common ground. The governor concluded that our people deserve no less. Joya Tafiangay Mali with your news on KVZK.
The American Samoa Department of Health's Environmental Health Services is conducting workshops at early childhood education schools to raise awareness of lead poisoning in line with Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. DOH officials are also conducting lead screening and testing.
Right now, we're conducting lead blood testing for all ECE schools. So this week, we just launched our service as of yesterday, and then we started at Tafuna ECE, and then we went to Silianga. This morning, we had Hupelele, and then today, we're ending here at Pabayai. So right now, we're going to cover all the ECE. So tomorrow would be Leone, Silianga, and Pangali'i. Then Thursday, we will be in Matapao, Pangpango, Pangasa, Aua. And then Friday, we'll be on the way east side, Pangaitua, all the way Lauli'i, obviously. Right now, the lead testing program, this is now a basically new program kicking off. Lead testing, I believe, was conducted by Head Start back in the years, quite a few years back, probably 10 years ago. But right now, Public Health has took the initiative to conduct a lead poisoning prevention program, and this is all for the children to identify if there's lead in the system. So from us, from the regulatory side, we have lead testing paints and materials to test if there's lead in the sources or equipments, toys, anything that we receive or are in the territory. But the whole thing is we don't know if these things are bringing or affecting our children if they don't get their blood tested first. So this was a major pivotal event that's happening now as of yesterday, today, and this whole week in testing the blood of our children to identify. As we all know, there's so much imported products, not only food, toys, dishwares, cookwares, anything from Asia, from other countries that are not FDA approved. So there is a concern from the regulatory side, there might be lead in a lot of these items. So doing this is helping the enforcement to go out now and find out where's the source of lead, and we need to mitigate it or eradicate the problem. Right now, they're recommending lead to be tested from 0 to 6 years old. But right now, public health has been working with Head Start, and they have been very receptive with this effort and willing for us to start at their ECE. And that's why we're focusing on the 3 and 4 year olds, because that's the age group that we have here at ECE. We're starting with ECE, and this is a good thing about the lead testing that we're conducting. We're trying to make it easier for the parents and for the community. We're coming out to the field. So we're starting with the ECE, going to the different ECE. But after that, we're working and discussing the taking of the testing to daycares. And then from the daycares, well, our Department of Health or a community health center will have their own process. But right now, from our side, we're just doing the community outreach and also at the same time, the testing. You get, with the lead testing that we're doing, we're using lead to care machine. It's just like taking a sample for the blood sugar. Just pricking your fingertip, and then from there we take the blood and then we put it in the machine. 3 minutes. It'll read the results and you get the results right there. I just want to encourage the parents as we're moving on to other ECE, to Leone and Silianga and Pangali'i tomorrow. Please do bring your children. It's a free testing. Take advantage of it. You'll never know. And also we can educate. Lead poisoning has been found to be the cause of some of the developmental delays. Children with health issues in the mind, mentally. And that's why we'll never know if we don't get tested. And then from there on, those results can be shared with our clinical side, which is our community health center, our physician, and also LBJ. So that way we can all, as a community, we can come out and see how we can help our children eradicate lead from the environment and also from their home, from their school, and even from the food that they consume.
In a historic milestone for island healthcare, the American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition has introduced the territory's first ever portable magnetic resonance imaging, or the MRI system. Developed by Hyperfine Incorporated, the SWOOP portable MR imaging system allows non-invasive brain imaging in community and clinical settings without radiation, contrast dyes, or hospital MRI suites.
Experts from Hyperfine Inc. have traveled to American Samoa to provide specialized training to the local team on the revolutionary SWOOP portable MR imaging system, the first of its kind in American Samoa. This initiative is part of the comprehensive services offered by the American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition, which aims to enhance local health capabilities. The imaging system represents a significant advancement in imaging technology, using low-field MRI to enable brain imaging directly in our community setting. This innovative device enables timely, accurate diagnostics assessments, which are crucial for early detection and intervention. In a statement, the American Samoa Community Cancer Coalition acknowledges visiting specialist neurologist Dr. Jim Galvin and surgical oncologist Dr. Rosemary Duda for their invaluable contributions during this critical training session. Their expertise has equipped them with the necessary skills to operate this groundbreaking technology proficiently. The system will play a pivotal role in the Coalition's Pui Pui Malu Manatu program, which is designed to offer comprehensive brain scans to individuals aged 65 and older of Samoan ancestry participating in their research study. The scanning procedure is straightforward and non-invasive, taking only 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Importantly, it does not involve any radiation, injections, or dyes, ensuring a safe and comfortable experience for their patients. This initiative underscores the Coalition's commitment to improving health outcomes and expanding access to essential medical services in American Samoa. Joyetta Whangai Mali'i with your news on KVZK.
On day 21 of the government shutdown, Senate Republicans met with President Trump for a strategic luncheon at the White House, underscoring their unified stance in urging Democratic lawmakers to support a funding extension.
During this meeting, President Donald Trump firmly asserted that Republicans will not be extorted. into yielding to Democrats' demands, indicating that a resolution to the shutdown remains distant. Democratic leaders characterized the lunch as more of a pep rally than a productive negotiation session, expressing their desire to engage with the president to reignite discussions aimed at reaching a consensus on extending health care tax credits. This strategic outreach suggests the Democrats' willingness to work collaboratively despite the ongoing impasse. The last Monday, the Senate once again failed to advance a funding measure that had already passed the House, marking the 11th unsuccessful attempt to secure government funding through the 21st of November. With no vote on the funding bill scheduled for today, attention now turns to a pivotal vote anticipated tomorrow. As the situation develops, House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune emphasized this morning that the 21st of November funding deadline in the Republican proposal may need to be postponed if the shutdown persists. Johnson noted with concern that Democrats appear to be eating up the clock, suggesting a deliberate delay on the negotiation process. Joyetta Fiangay with your news on KVZK.
In other news, the debate over Guam's future as a U.S. territory has intensified, with the legislature set to vote on a non-binding resolution to pursue statehood amid growing Pacific geostrategic tensions and the Trump administration's expansionist stance.
Guam is a U.S. crucial strategic asset. It is often referred to as the tip of the spear due to its military significance, including hosting 10,000 military personnel, an airbase for F-35 fighters and B-2 bombers, and serving as a home port for Virginia-class nuclear submarines. Guam has a population of 166,000 and is also listed by the United Nations for decolonization and became an associate member of the Pacific Islands Forum last year. Last Wednesday, Senator William Parkinson introduced the resolution calling for Guam to be fully integrated into the American Union, potentially becoming the 51st state. Parkinson said they are at a pivotal moment in history, with two great powers in direct confrontation, potentially on the brink of war. At a press conference, Parkinson said there is a need to acknowledge the reality of their situation in this part of the world. Though Guam is a small island, its strategic importance cannot be ignored. The question is whether they remain allied with America or risk of being absorbed by China. His resolution emphasizes that this decision should be based on the informed consent of the people of Guam through a referendum. Parkinson's resolution arises as President Donald Trump promotes territorially expansionist policies, particularly aimed at Greenland, an autonomous territory ruled by Denmark and America's northern neighbor, Canada. He said this is a unique moment in time. Historically, the geopolitical climate of the United States is favorable for Guam's statehood, and Parkinson said this is an opportunity they cannot afford to miss. Joyetta Fiangay Mali with your news on KVZK.
In our news from Samoa, many Samoans face serious health risks due to poor nutrition, primarily because of the high cost and limited availability of healthy food.
The Cost of the Diet Analysis report published by Samoa's Ministry of Agriculture and the United Nations World Food Program highlights a nutrition crisis exacerbated by a shift from traditional diets to imported ultra-processed foods. The analysis found that a nutritious diet for a 6-person household cost 50 tala per day, or $18 per day, over 4 times the cost of a basic energy diet. As a result, more than 40% of Samoan households cannot afford healthy food. The report also reveals that nearly 80% of Samoan women are classified as obese, and over 70% of deaths in the country are linked to non-communicable diseases. Dr. Seuseu Joseph Tawati and Alpha Ba emphasize the need for collaborative action, suggesting 3 key steps. Make nutritious food more affordable and accessible, as local diets can be twice as expensive as those including imported items. leverage school meal programs to reduce healthy diet costs for children and adolescents, promotes and connects families with markets. These measures aim to improve nutrition and health outcomes in Samoa. Joya Tafengai Mali'i with your news on KVZK.
Please stay tuned for your weather and tide report. And that is a wrap of tonight's edition of your KVZK TV Evening News. Thanks for joining us. Tofa Soifua.